Now look, I usually don't care that much about CES, and the main reason is I've been following CES for over a decade, and the vast majority of stuff they unveil or showcase there never makes it to market. If a company really has something special that they care about, they tend to not want to announce it at CES because then they're competing with marketing and screen time from lots of other products and brands. However, I got to admit, Honda unveiled something at CES that I'm really interested in and excited for, and I could actually see becoming a pretty mainstream design in the future that I want to talk more about, and that's the Honda Saloon, okay? Because Honda basically has no fully electric vehicles in the United States, even though they do make EVs overseas. And at this CES presentation, they announced that they want to bring the Saloon concept vehicle kind of into production of some sort in 2026. And the good news is, from the get-go, Honda has said they plan on adopting NACS. Hopefully that's not even a question in the future. So yes, if your EV company has a brain, they will have NACS on the car. Stellantis, excuse me. And pretty much the only bad thing about this concept car, the Saloon, is that it was unveiled at CES. Because it was unveiled there, it has a much lower likelihood of really making it to market. But aside from that, I mainly love the exterior, okay? The interior has a bunch of stupid concept car crap where they put screens everywhere and make the steering yoke fold into the dash and all that stuff. A bunch of things that you can just look at and tell, yeah, that's not gonna make it into the production model. Why even make concept cars? I'm kind of against those in the first place. But the thing that I think not just Honda could adopt in the future is this incredibly elongated but super aerodynamic shape while still having four wheels. So lots of space for cargo, passengers, and they kind of demoed that in the concept vehicle, showcasing how much roomier it could be on the inside, and it kind of checks a lot of my boxes, right? Like, I'm a big fan of aerodynamics and efficiency. I want things to use less energy, require smaller battery packs, therefore cheaper to manufacture. This could enable that. And also, for people who want it to be a more luxurious form factor, that long wheelbase could allow for huge battery packs on the inside. I genuinely think if there is a vehicle in the future that was to have four wheels and that was to have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 seats, it's pretty long, it could probably fit more, and still have a range that goes well over 500, 600 miles for people who are real road trip warriors who need to shave off every hour they can on a day's worth of driving. This is going to be the way to do it. You decrease your frontal area of the vehicle so you're not displacing much air, and you're guiding that air very, very carefully around the vehicle. And that's why planes, you know, are so long. They have a very small frontal area so that they're displacing the least amount of air possible, and then they extend that fuselage as long as they can to fit as many passengers as they can. And I'm not saying we need to put, you know, 737s on the road, but elongating the design, in my opinion, is the best way to increase occupancy, payload capacity, while still retaining a very aerodynamic shape and still having an incredibly efficient form factor. The more interesting part that excites me is, even though, yes, it's a pretty narrow vehicle and it doesn't displace very much air from the front, all of that exterior space on the top that goes all the way to the rear, imagine if you covered it with solar cells, okay? Yeah, I'll finally bring it up. Aptera basically would have a lot of incentive to apply their intellectual property, like their solar cells and their efficient hub motor design, as well as their composite body structures, which are super lightweight. If they applied a lot of that Aptera formula to a four-wheeled vehicle like this, I think you could probably still get, you know, over 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and you'd have a huge amount of space for batteries in the floor of this thing. But of course, larger vehicle is going to use more energy, and that's why having a larger surface area on the top to absolutely cover with solar cells, so that maybe with a vehicle structure like this, you could get closer to 1500 watts of solar instead of 700 watts like we have on the three-wheeled Aptera. That could enable you to still get meaningful range out of those solar cells for people who don't feel like plugging in from home. Now, a longer vehicle like this that's more expensive, you're more likely to cater towards people who are probably going to be comfortable plugging in from home. They can afford to park this thing in their garage and they can afford to plug it in. And there's a lot of attributes of the Honda Saloon that clearly scream luxury, and at CES, of course, they unveiled the concept car, but they didn't talk about the pricing. They didn't talk about the range. All they just said is that it's thin, light, and wise. What does that even mean? Basically just means using smaller battery packs and having fast charging. But I mean, come on, Honda, you couldn't even give us the coefficient of drag of this really cool design. That would have been a very interesting equation to see like what kind of efficiency numbers you could get with that form factor. But of course, they don't want to get people's hypes too high. They claim there will be a production version that is kind of based on the concept car that comes into North America first, which is nice. Actually seeing some love from Honda for the North American market. And I'm very curious for future updates they provide on this, but they just had to unveil it at CES. And to me, that kind of fundamentally curses the concept. There's never been like a really, really cool car that went into production that was originally unveiled at CES. Usually that's where all companies throw their concept ideas and prototypes to die. Just like, this will be good PR and we never have to actually deliver on it. So it's a shame it was unveiled there. It's a shame we couldn't get more details about it, but I don't think Honda has a patent on this design, and I love how eye-catching it is. Similar to the Cybertruck or the Aptera, which are very unique, very weird-looking vehicles. I like weird that has purpose. You know, I'm not saying we should make the freaking Mercedes Avatar car just like weird for the sake of weird, but if you have a radical new design that is very different from everything else we see on the road, but it unlocks some additional functionality, whether that be better aerodynamics or in the case of the Cybertruck, better durability, better strength, a weird design that unlocks use cases that were not there before, that gets me excited. And that's why out of everything I've seen at CES, the Honda Saloon was honestly the most interesting part. But is there anything else at CES that excited you guys or captivated your attention? I think there will be more than one company that kind of models this Honda Saloon-esque design, which is trying to make the most aerodynamic sedan and the most functional sedan possible. I mean, you can imagine with a shape that long, if you had like a modular second row, like you could take out the second row seats and it was a very wide hatchback design opening from the back, this could be kind of El Camino style low profile pickup truck that has incredibly good watt hours per mile. Anyway, it just got the gears turning in my brain. Did it get anybody else excited, or am I crazy? Feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again and have an excellent rest of your day.